Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to New Life Live. Glad you're with us today. I've got some powerful people joining me today that can help you if you'll just call us and let us help you. Dr. Sherry Keffer, Chris Williams are in today. And today, very special day, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And there's a man made a little bit of a difference here in this world. I think we'd all have to agree on that, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. It's fun teaching my boys about his legacy as they're learning about it in school and teaching them about his courageous faith. And it's just been so much fun to be able to do that and what it means for us in today's world.
And he's such a great example of the power of words and the power of when words are communicated with someone that can do it with great brilliance. So, yeah, really, we honor him today. We're grateful for his life. People always say, oh, well, he wasn't a perfect person. Yeah, welcome to the club. So, it's just so many amazing, great, wonderful things. Well, here's what we're going to do. In honor of him, we're going to go try to solve some problems and help some people. So let's go to Amber right now from Bloomington, Illinois. Glad she called, listens online. Hey, Amber, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Great. How can we help?
So I've actually been trying to get in. I would like some Christian perspective from professionals like you guys, and thanks for taking my call. My mother-in-law, my husband's mom, has been an issue since I've been married to my husband for the last 12 years, and she acts like my 4-year-old. In a sense, and no boundaries have ever been put on this woman, unfortunately. And it's difficult because she acts like both a victim and the bully. And how my husband's family has always dealt with her is just ignore it and just let her be. But it's just a vicious cycle of manipulation and guilt trips and bullying and blowing up in front of our kids. We have 3 kids now, and it's just extremely inappropriate. She blows up at us when we say no to the simplest things.
So what's the question for us?
To Walmart with her.
Yeah, what's the question for us?
We're planning an intervention, and I'm wanting to know if that's appropriate for somebody like her. I've been going through the Boundaries book by John Townsend and Henry Cloud, and I've never heard anybody else's take on that book, if it is an appropriate book to use for this.
It's a great book.
As a guideline. It's
a great book, and it's so interesting how she plays out this drama triangle thing where she, as you say, bully, she's the victim, she's the bully. Well, in the drama, you're the victim, and then, you're actually persecuting other people, and it's just the only way you ever can stop that is to get out of the triangle. Sometimes it does take an intervention to do that. We'll hear Dr. Sherry Keffer and Chris Williams take on that for you, and if you'll just hold on. Victim, rescuer, persecutor. Oh my goodness, happens all the time. You are listening to New Life Live, and we are so glad that you are. Every Man's Battle's coming up on the 7th of February. If you know and you live with a person that has a problem with sexual integrity, one weekend can take care of that. It doesn't take care of it. It gets that person on a different trajectory that takes care of it. That's what we'd want for you and that person. You have to call us and ask for that help at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll be back on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Southern California February 28th to March the 1st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and really glad that you're with us. Amber has a mother-in-law problem. First time we've ever had a mother-in-law call. I believe. No, just kidding. Chris, what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I was saying at the break that the term I have for Steve was talking about this triangulation where there's always a rescuer, there's always a victim, and there's always a persecutor. I call it the Bermuda Triangle of relational death. Many relationships go in, none come out alive. So oftentimes what the person who is rescuing the victim is the one who keeps the triangle going, ironically enough. But my concern here, Amber, is to start off is if you're going to run an intervention, what actual behavior are you identifying that needs to be addressed? Are you intervening on? Because if an intervention is about people airing their grievances, I can tell you right now, it is going to phenomenally fail.
And that's, I guess, the biggest reason I'm calling is this appropriate for someone like this? So the main thing is her outbursts of anger and tantrums in public or at family functions. She will just completely lose it in front of people and our kids. And if you try to get her to talk to you and calm down, she gets physically abusive.
Oh, wow.
To escape, and she bolts. And she will bolt. But then she gives us the silent treatment for who knows how long and then acts like nothing ever happened. And so that's one of the things we're addressing is, okay, if you can't control your anger, then fine, we'll help you through it. What do you need help with to help you through it? However, you would need to apologize and let's talk about it. We can't act like it never happened.
The only challenge with that, Amber, and I love your thoughts. Those are rational, reasonable, clear. I mean, you are seeing it as clear as anybody else. In fact, you've painted such a good picture. We all are like, we get it. The problem is you're wanting somebody who is unreasonable to be reasonable. You're wanting to ask her to ask for forgiveness. Have she ever done that in her life?
No.
Okay.
She's
so
never
yeah.
apologized.
So it's kind of like I want to help y'all get into reality a little bit, because I think that Bermuda Triangle, if it's not handled well, is just going to take you guys into a deeper struggle with her. When you say we are doing the intervention, are you talking about a specialist that you guys have hired that does these type of family breakthroughs, or are you all trying to do it yourself? Because I'm honestly just seeing, in Spain they have the running with the bulls in July.
Yeah.
And when you started talking, I just went, oh my goodness. I just kind of see her as a bull and just kind of flailing you guys up in the air. And unless you have an expert and you've spent a tremendous time staging this, it is not going to be an easy change.
Correct. No, we don't have a specialist helping us. I've gone through the Boundaries book. Has kind of been our guide, and we've had several meetings between my husband, myself, his brother, and his wife to talk about it, going through the Bible, what it says, trying to make sure we're considering her feelings, and we know it's going to be hurtful and we know it's going to be hard. However, the one instance I gave you is just the tip of the iceberg of what is done and what she does to us.
Well, and Amber, and I think the key here is that you do want to get professional help here, someone who can help you actually, what Sherry said, stage the intervention. Because I'm going to give you just a few quick essentials for this. A very specific behavior and behavioral pattern has to be addressed and has to be crystal clear. Also, consequences to that behavior and also an action plan. So whether she accepts help or not, you guys are going to change. You guys are not going to put up with this. You're going to have boundaries around it. You want to make that clear. But I also want you to be connected with a person that can get her the help that she needs. Clearly, in her past, there is unresolved wounds and hurts and pains that we call trauma, that she is acting out over and over out of her shame and reactivity. And she needs help for that because she is suffering constantly with that. And so having a plan for her to get help, whether she accepts that or not, at least you're showing compassion by giving her what she needs.
Right, and that was another, one of my other thoughts was I plan on giving her a list of resources. We're going to offer her to help pay for counseling because she just lives off of disability.
Yeah.
And the rest of us have life instances. We can't just fork out all this money, but we can all pitch in to offer her that. And she knows she has horrible trauma in her past that she refuses to face.
Yeah.
And because I've talked to her about that, and she won't.
Yeah. So given that you're going to do that for her, I would make this whole thing about her. We see that it's difficult for you. We seem to kind of trigger things, and we want to help you. We want to get some help so that life is easier for you in these years ahead. And I'm wondering if it's just your husband having the conversation with her versus bigger deal.
That's what we're doing. She really doesn't like me and my brother-in-law's wife, and so her boys are going to go talk to her first without us around, because if we all four show up to her, she's going to immediately say, "Get out."
Okay.
We wouldn't even have to say anything, but
right.
So
I think that's good.
The plan, but
pray for the boys while they're doing that. Then, yeah.
Right. Well, I appreciate it. And
okay. And then for you, let me send you a copy of Take Your Life Back, and I hope that will be a blessing to you and anybody else. You can get your very own copy simply by calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. How about we talk over here to Addie from Washington, D.C., listening on WAVA. Hi, Addie. How are you?
Hi, I have a question. How are you? Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
So I have a very good friend who is going through some marriage problems, and we both, I know I need help, and I'm sure she would appreciate or she would like to hear what kind of help or where I'm getting help as well so that she can get help too.
Okay.
So what's the problem? Can you tell us?
So in my marriage, it's just been through the years, it's like just going apart and apart and apart. Of course, there's extra stuff through the years. I mean, we have children. We've had problems. There's been some physical abuse, some verbal abuse, stress from our church, at least on my husband's side. And through the years, I came to a point a few years ago where I called the cops because he was physically abusive. I mean, he was physically abusive and I didn't do anything. And then I thought he was going to be again, and I called the cops. And then since then, I just felt like I have no respect for him anymore. And that has not changed in the last at least 3 years. It's only gotten worse. On my friend's side, it's mostly physical, verbal abuse, at least from her point of view, to the point where she's ready to leave, but she feels stuck because she cannot afford to leave. And they have a son who's also kind of hears and sees all of this, and both our husbands or our families, our Christian families, active in ministry work, and it's just our ministry, I guess, it's not something we know how to handle, if that helps any. And fortunately, we have to look outside of our church, congregation to get help.
So Addie, what do you need? Help with what? What are you looking for specifically?
Help to restore the marriage somehow.
So the problem, though, my dear, is you can't restore the marriage until this bad behavior is addressed. You know, I think a lot of families, just like you, Addie, hide in the church. Mm-hmm. Some of them are in leadership. Some of them are in the pews that are on the left side and the right side. And Leslie Vernick wrote a book called The Emotionally Destructive Marriage. And in her book, she looks at the difference between a disappointing marriage and a destructive marriage. These two marriages have had violence. They've had verbal and physical abuse. So the fact that you guys are scared, the fact that you have lost respect, the fact that she doesn't know how to leave, those are results from being physically abused and harmed. Have either one of you done any work or looked at anything to do with domestic violence, or got into a support group for that?
I haven't, but I believe she mentioned a group that she does go to, that they know that if they don't hear from her, they know to check on her or have her address, just to make sure. I mean, God forbid that she's still alive is specifically what she says.
Well, I know
what she said.
That's how scary it is. And so I would encourage you to go with her to that group. Because typically when there's issues like this, you've got to get a plan and you've got to get strong in order to get the help you need. It just doesn't come quickly or easily. Is your husband open to getting help, going to see a counselor, or looking at his behavior?
We've talked about it for years, and I initiated it, and I looked for places, and I said, I found this. It's like, okay, and then eventually he says, well, we know what to do, we know what we need, we don't need that.
I would love to hear more willingness, and maybe coming to the intimacy intensive weekend that we've got coming up. It's going to be just a few weeks away, might be a way that you can encourage him to come and both look at what patterns had been going on a few years ago and what they're about and how you guys can get some help.
I want to actually raise the stakes here, because I think there is a subtext. There's something going on beneath the surface. So Addie, you're actually minimizing the damage of that and the danger that you're in. I really believe that, because there's this language around, you said some abuse. And I'm like, no, that's not some abuse. That's an abusive environment. And of course you're going to lose respect for him. So I would actually lay down some really strong boundaries here. It's going to sound like an ultimatum, and I'm fine with that, because this verbal and physical abuse has to end, has to stop. And so I would say, hey, I am going to move out, or I'm going to find a way to get greater safety for myself if you are unwilling to seek counseling, and if you're unwilling to attend the intimacy and marriage workshop and weekend, because I can't live in this place any longer. And I think the best thing that you can do for your friend, as well as supporting her verbally, is show her a new way. And show her the strength of your boundaries.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Okay, hold on. I think let us at least to give you the info on intimacy and marriage. For anybody else, it is February the 14th, and I'm telling you, it could just change everything as it has for so many other people. It's just bizarre how you're at each other's throat, and then you come there and you just are invited to step back and see everything from a different perspective without shame. That's what I love. You don't feel ashamed of yourself or what you've done. It's just all about going forward in a different and amazingly new, better way. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out all about that. We'll take a break. We'll come right back for more New Life Live. We want to help you. Call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's the number. And there are people, they got up this morning, they said, oh, I can't wait to go to work because I want to help somebody. You could be the person that makes their day because they really do love helping other folks. That's why New Life was started 31 years ago. A love for watching people transform with God's truth in redemptive relationship. We'll take a break and come right back after this.
My wife asked me for the first time in 2011 if I would consider myself a sex addict, so I signed up. You know, I'd read the Every Man's Battle book, and it was a great book, but the workshop, it was the experience that really was key for me. If they go to EMB, they're going to be in good hands. You know, this is a safe place. They're going to be surrounded by men that simply walk the talk. The weekend leaders that they will go through this workshop with, they'll help them to get to the root of their issues. You know, I've been through a number of well-preached sermons, listened to and read countless books, been to a number of seminars, but EMB for me was a game changer. It truly saved my life. Being in this community, being in this workshop, being around these men will change them if they'll let them. You're going to encounter men that will meet you where you're at, and then you will instantly walk into a safe place where they're welcome.
If you're struggling, call us. We don't want you to go on struggling. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here. Martin Luther King Day. You know, he led that amazing 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. It led to so many other things, and most everybody remember 1963, the March on Washington. He delivers this famous "I Have a Dream" speech. I wish we had made more progress since him. We have made great progress, but we just can't make enough. That day, that thing he called for, where you're judged by the quality of your character, not the color of your skin. What a great, great thing. Well, speaking of character, Larry Sonnenberg is a character, and he has character, both. Larry, we want people to support us but so that we can get the word out that there is hope and help and healing in the worst of times.
Amen. Goodbye. No,
so call us and help.
Yeah, absolutely. We need your support. I mean, we're a faith-based nonprofit organization, and we depend upon donations. That's just pure and simple it. And we ask because we think you change when you give, as well as you help other people's lives change when they receive help.
Yep.
And here is a testimony. This one's from a man who went to our intimacy and marriage workshop. He says, "My wife and I have been married 29 years. We've been hopeless for the last several years with a marriage full of abuse, rage, anger, manipulation, and criticism. We've had both feet out the door for several years now. We're Christians, but rarely apply biblical principles to our lives. Over the weekend, I felt a glimmer of hope spark up in me. I've watched a new outlook in my wife's countenance. I believe Jesus has done a good work in my heart, and I have a new attitude. The rubber will meet the road when we get home, but I've taken up the mantle of the call God has put on me to be kind, loving, helpful, listening, complimentary, and godly. I know I will succeed as I yield to Him.
It's beautiful.
There you go.
You know what? They were hopeless, and now they've got hope, and they're working on something.
That's a huge transition.
Yeah.
And there's
everybody that shows up, they're all working on the same stuff, and you're not alone, and you're out of your isolation. It's just it's an amazing thing. I jumped on what you were saying there, Chris.
No, that's okay. That's okay. There's just not an area of our life that isn't negatively impacted by painful relationship, especially our marriages.
Isn't that the truth?
If you want to improve every other area of your life, improve your marriage.
Well said. And folks, you can help that by making a gift to New Life. Joining Club New Life is a big deal. We don't get enough response to that. We don't push it enough. And we get stuck thinking that the only reason people want to give to Club New Life is we'll give them a gift in return. And we will. But that's not the reason to join. The reason to join is that you're going to be helping people for a long time and help this ministry stay in the best financial situation we can be.
Yeah.
Yep. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'm telling you, it is true. The new life that you experience from giving is pretty exciting. New life. All right, let's go to Bethany, Washington, D.C. WAVA is the station. Hi, Bethany. How can we help today?
Hi. Yes. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure because I'm in the car. But my question is about my mother, who has lived the last 25, close to 30 years being an enabler to my brother, who has drug and alcohol abuse issues. For a long time, she has helped him beyond just help. It's been that triangle thing that I heard on a couple of calls ago, so that was pretty helpful. But make a long story short, it's been a really long time, and I think she's been completely addicted to that lifestyle. The both of them had a pretty rough relationship. And now we're in a situation where my brother is actually in a coma.
Oh, dear.
And so that's been about close to 3 months.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
And
what's the prognosis?
Well, his heart stopped, and he was without oxygen for quite some time, cardiac arrest for 10 minutes. So we're waiting on a miracle. The prognosis is nothing good. So we're praying and fasting and just waiting on a miracle. Thank you for asking. But the new thing is that this situation has brought out a whole nother dynamic that's kind of always been there in our family, but really never quite addressed, and that's my mother's kind of abandonment to the rest of the family. And during this situation, I kind of figured maybe we could really support each other and, come closer together, praying and fasting together and things like that, but it's brought about the opposite effect. She's completely abandoned. She's completely abandoned all of us. I never see her. She doesn't answer my call. I think she's depressed.
Well, don't you think she feels really a bit of responsibility here when she sees what's happened with all the effort that she put in to protect him from the consequences?
Yes.
I mean, I would think she'd be downright depressed because she's ashamed that maybe as she's watching this that she sees what codependents come to see. I wasn't doing that for him. I was doing that for me.
Yeah.
It's so hard to come to grips with that.
And you know, Bethany, there's a lot of parents listening right now to your call, and this reality of what happened to your brother has got them shaking in their boots.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be back right after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with Bethany, and her mom is so depressed over a son in a coma. Chris, you had some insights here you wanted to share.
Well, I want to go back to what you picked up, Bethany, with the triangle. There's the rescuer, the victim, and the persecutor. The reason the rescuer rescues is because they are avoiding themselves. If all my attention is on somebody else's problem, I don't have to address my own. If I can, and then if I can rescue their pain, I can get out of my pain. And so my assumption is that your mom herself has experienced incredible loss and abandonment in her own life. And she's trying to rescue herself or her experience through her son. Now that has failed, her internal world has completely fallen apart. She is not able to show up for herself. She's not going to certainly be able to show up for anyone else. And she is now fallen herself into a deep victim state.
Wow. Okay. That's very confirming now, because in my spirit I've been feeling that the last couple of days, because I spent the last couple of months really being upset and praying that I don't have any ill will towards her, because it just brought back all the times that I realized that she never was there for us. And then I just, as I was praying about it, God revealed to me just to come out of what I feel and try to put myself in her shoes. And I don't know, I've just started to realize what you said, but I'm glad you put it all together. But I don't really know how to help her when, one, she doesn't want my help, or I'm still kind of upset.
So, Bethany, are you the oldest?
No, I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. Mm-hmm. And because it feels like somewhat you've become a parentified child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes when we grow up with a lot of craziness in our homes, chaos, there's a child that takes on the burden. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. So that child then grows up taking on the burden of caretaking for all the loose ends in their family. And so that anger would make so much sense to us, because it's like, Mom, get your stuff together. I need you to lead. I need you to take care of us. And so here in this collapse, it's like inside of you, there's a little girl that's standing up and saying, this is not the time to lay down. I need you to step up. And so I'm really sorry that you've had to carry that burden for so long.
Yeah.
And I would say in response to that, Bethany, is that unfortunately this sounds like a harsh feedback, but it's not meant to be. Your job right now is not to help your mom. Your job right now is to get into your own work so you can see where you've been hurt, where you carry pain, so you're not repeating these patterns, and that you can find healing and growth, and that is the best thing that you can do for everyone around you.
And just to clarify what you're going through, anybody in your situation would go through that, and it's not a result, your feelings of anger or frustration, it's not a result of spiritual weakness. It really is part of that whole dynamic there. I have two quick questions. How old is your brother? How old's your brother?
He is 44.
And did he work? Did he live with your mom, or what was his situation?
No, he's lived with my parents off and on, or had my mom take care of his apartment.
And what drug did he overdose on?
He didn't. Actually, he was found with no influence, but a small amount of alcohol. His heart stopped while he was driving.
Oh.
So he didn't overdose.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's something that just happened actually right after he got out of rehab. So
it's so sad. So very, very sad. Well, let me send you this workbook. I'll send you a couple of copies of it on grief and the Life Recovery Bible. I think it'll be of help to you. And really sorry. Hope some insight we gave you leads you to get a little bit of help, maybe finding freedom, joining us for that. That would be great. But also that it would just lead you to get some counseling, get some help. You're a very spiritual person. Let's get some practical help that really could make all the difference in the world for you. I want to talk to Lynn, Knoxville, Texas, WRJZ. Lynn, how are you today? What's going on?
I'm doing okay. I am frankly reeling from a recent discovery of my husband's return to internet activity after, 13, 14 years.
What's he doing? What did you discover?
Well, porn, is some of it. But here's my question for today is, when it goes beyond just porn, and I don't mean to minimize porn, but when it goes beyond that to the deeper, darker, ugly fetish, the fake identities in chats, when it goes beyond that, I'm kind of struggling. He went to Every Man's Battle years back. We recovered, we healed, we reconciled. This time it's kind of harder, and I'm in the midst of reading Dr. Sherry's book, Intimate Deception. I'm not quite finished, so it's helping, of course. I'm finding some of that, my own brain issues. But my question is, beyond the spiritual sickness, is there a progression into mental illness? I guess that's my bottom line question. And if so, what are treatment options? Is there anything different that I need to require other than Every Man's Battle kind of resources at this point?
So it sounds like horrific pain. I'm sorry, Lynn, about your recent discovery, because it really does rattle your world when you're on round 2, right? When you thought you were out of the woods and everything was safe. But it sounds like you found some behavior where he has got some sexual fetishes, or there's these fake identities, and he's chatting and becoming a different person. And it sounds like you might want to call that mental illness. Am I right?
Yes, that
okay.
is my question.
So you know what I would call that? I would call that a return to his sex addiction, and he has progressed in the sex addiction. It doesn't stay porn, because you know why? The brain, and you mentioned the brain gets a hit of dopamine and adrenaline and oxytocin, which is a bonding chemical, when somebody looks at porn. So that brain gets used to it, and it needs more and more of that inside chemical to get the bigger hit. So some men go into deeper, darker places within that world. They've got to have, instead of looking at images of porn or video feed, they've got to have live chats. So he's not out of recovery. He is back into his addiction. And somewhere along the way, my dear, he stopped doing the work. He stopped staying in recovery in his SA group. He stopped seeing his counselor. He stopped being responsible for other guys to help them get out. He got to a place, and I often see this in the cycle addiction, where he said to himself, I've got this. I can do better, and I've got this. And that's when often the door opens up again, and they step in. What's your thoughts, Chris and Steve?
Well, mine is, you just tell him to go back. You know, he was able to develop some purity, and so then, you know, he quit doing, like Sherry's saying, the stuff that was helpful. Then he, you know, starts to get confused and compromise. And so I would just be that simple. Okay, well, call him up and go to the next one and get it taken care of. That is so much more helpful and easy to do than wondering about, you know, some kind of psychosis or a mental illness. It's a progressive problem. It just gets worse. And here's the thing, when you quit for 10 years and you pick it up again, it's almost like the progression was happening while you weren't using. And when you start again, it's really, really serious. So I just get him back there.
And I was going to say quickly, in the chapter, When a Diamond's Not a Girl's Best Friend, you know, I talk about that couple. And I had to encourage them to go get a brain spec. If Dr. Amen was sitting here right now, he'd say, of course he went back.
Yes.
He may have untreated ADD. He may have some bipolar disorder. He may have a million things going on, right? He may have many things going on with his brain that never got treated, and it left him vulnerable to go back.
Yes, and it's a both and, not either or. So get him back into daily recovery.
That's maybe get a brain spec.
And get a brain, absolutely.
We'll be back right after this.
She said, we need to talk. She's asked me for the first time if I would consider myself a sex addict. You know, I thought it was just about admitting the things that I had done wrong. I never had a clue that it was about redeeming our story. You know, I thought it was just about coming clean on what I had done. I had no idea how to help her with her pain. She was a mess, I was a mess, and we got divorced. Going to EMB, surrounding myself with these other men, they accepted me for who I was and what I had done, but they challenged me to step up and do better. You know, they'll be around other men who are not just pointing the finger, but willing to get in and wade through it with them, you know, get in the trenches. They'll get hope from this workshop. Take my sweet wife and my story. We were divorced, remarried, and on our way to what I think will be the sweetest years of our lives. You know, it's no longer simply about surviving. For the first time ever, you know, we're thriving, we're enjoying where we're at.
Hey, listen, if you're struggling, we want to see you at the workshop. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got released.
You can help New Life Live stay in the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you a set of 4 devotionals, 100 Days of Character, Peace, Prayer, and the newly released 100 Days of Healing. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Well, Lynn, I'm glad you've got Intimate Deception. I'm going to send you Worthy of Her Trust, and that's a book that's come out since he went through, but it's just that doggone simple. You just go back to Every Man's Battle, and let's stick with it this time. And if you can go to Restore, boy, that would just be a pretty powerful situation there. All right, let's go to Angie. I wish I could take other callers, but Angie's going to be our final caller. Thank you all for calling.
Be right back.
Frederick, Maryland is where Angie's calling from. Listens on the great station WAVA. How are you, and how can we help you today? What's going on?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm doing really well. I'm calling in reference to a good friend of mine.
Okay.
Her after 20 years, and he went straight to another woman, and she's feeling lost and alone. They don't have children, and I've tried to talk with her or listen to her over and over, and to the point where it stresses me out every time I hang up. And I want to know, Dr. Sherry, if the book Intimate Deception would be an appropriate book to get her and send her.
So I want to say yes, and let me tell you why. For you to feel that stressed out just by talking with her, she is in a trauma response. And you know what surprises me so much, Angie, and I know this from my own story, is many of us that experience sexual betrayal, we heal broken. We don't heal fully. And so we stay on this spin cycle. We stay in hypervigilance. We stay in fear. We stay in hurt. We stay in bitterness. We stay in a lot of things because we didn't really get the fact that betrayal trauma can cause post-traumatic stress, which my research showed. So I love that you're her friend. I say yes, get her the book, and it would be a starting place for her to begin her healing process.
I hope so, because right now she's very fragile.
Yeah.
And she's struggling. She doesn't want to talk to any therapist or anything. She hasn't even told any of her church members.
Oh, wow.
She's just, and she won't let me. She stops me from just making a comment. It's really sad, and he comes back and forth, and it's just bad. And I have to, every time I get off the phone with her, I have to drop to my knees and pray because it stresses me out. And I was thinking to send her this book and then to pull away a little bit because it's stressing me out. It really is.
Well, and
well, you know,
just know that stressing you out is the buzz of her hurt. It's the shame. You may be the only person she's talking to, but we feel that stress when we feel like we've got to fix her. You don't have to fix her.
Yes.
It's about guiding her into talking about her own pain and shame, and she'll relate to that book.
And it's such a great, I think, a great example of the dilemma of shame in the church when you have this. You know, she doesn't want to share, she doesn't want to open up at all, and it's just so painful. And you can't blame her because there are a lot of very judgmental people that if she opens up, you know, she feels like, well, they're just going to shame me or attack me for this. And so we want to be sure that we're offering grace to people, the same grace that Christ gives us, the same grace that he modeled so well. And I'm glad that she's got you, Angie. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, now let me do something else for you. I'm going to send you the grief workbook because she has to grieve the loss of the husband she thought she had, see? And this will help her also. Chris, you had a comment?
I was just going to say, it's okay to set boundaries around people and the interaction with them, because we all have our limitations. We don't want to move beyond them. So, Angie, if you have to set time boundaries around, again, the frequency or the amount that you're around your friend, I think that's more than appropriate and helpful to you as well, so that when you do interact with her, you can show up for her.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
Don't abandon her, though. She needs you.
Right.
And you set the boundaries, but you do it in a way so that you can still be there for her when she does. So, coming your way, let me just a gift to you. I'll send you a restoration Bible, and hope that you'll enjoy that. It's really helped a lot of people. There are things that we have that can help you. First of all, we've got great videos. If you're a member of Club New Life, all of these videos are there on every kind of subject. So helpful by all of the folks that do radio, and then some that are specialists beyond radio. So we love that. Second thing is that there might be a counselor in your area that could just open a whole world of insight for you. And then there are groups that help you sustain or go deeper. Also, they're there to support you and strengthen whatever it is that you're doing. We want all of that for you. But you have to call us. You have to let us in on what's going on at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We also hope that some of you will decide that you want to help us. And that's that same number, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I'll send you this grief workbook. It's part of the Life Recovery series, and it really is helping so many people. But as we close out the program, just talk a little bit about Martin Luther King Jr. It was his whole life really was committed to fairness, to not be judged and have things assumed about you simply because of the color of your skin. It's just horrific. And I think of just the sadness of people that need to feel superior, and the only thing that they have that's different or unique is the color of their skin, and so they go with that. I remember being with Thelma Wells over in Africa at this slave prison where most of the people were shipped out of. And it was just one horrible place. And I remember looking at Thelma's skin and how beautiful and rich it was. And I thought, who was it that discovered that or decided that's not better skin than this splotchy, old, ugly skin that I have? It's just crazy. It is crazy. But here's the thing. Satan uses anything and everything to divide us and to deflect us. And I'm just going to suggest, maybe as a way of honoring Martin Luther King Jr., it doesn't matter what color somebody's skin has. Why don't we just treat somebody as if they were equal to us, whether they have the same skin color as us or not, but just treat somebody with respect and honor the way Jesus treated. He treated children. Children were, they were really, they were so disrespected. You could literally put your own child to death in the Roman culture. Women were not. It wasn't good for women. And Jesus stepped up and treated women with great respect. And it just, his life was about treating people with dignity and respect to the extent that he would die for them. So let's model him today.
And one of the best ways that we can do that is really getting to know people who are different than us. People who have different experiences and look different. And the best way I found to do that is to listen to their stories. Be truly interested in them. Put your judgments and perceptions away and just hear them out. And I find there's so much, I don't know, I find out a lot more about myself in that process, a lot more about them, and I just find connection and support and that love that Jesus is talking about.
Mm-hmm. What a concept, listening. Hey, we love you, and There's somebody on the end of 1-800-NEW-LIFE that would love to listen to you. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You've heard us talk about intimate deception. It's Sherry's book. It's powerful. It's wonderful, healing. You can get a copy right there. We love you. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.